Welcome back everybody to Keeks Custom Builds. Behind me we got the Toyota project. We're going to be getting it close to being finished. It's not going to be finished in this video though, so just want to make sure get that out of the way. We got it real close. Got the front clip together. You can see the hood's still off, but we got the shock towers in there. It's looking super good. Anyway, got some bucket seats in there too from a junkyard. Anyway, if you like seeing cool trucks being restored or rat rotted, as it's got a new frame, but the rest of it is 45 years old, as you can see. As I've already said, it's not going to be finished in this video, but it's going to be close. So hope you enjoy. Keep watching. Got the front mounts made here. They're looking pretty good. I have it spaced up exactly how far it needs to be. This side is twisted up a little bit, so I put the block on that side and yanked it down. Now it's the same measurement. If you come back here, the body line is perfect. I measured it all the way up and down. I can't really measure the other side because it's crushed in. It's been T-boned before, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but the whole side is caved in there. Along with the bed, they got about 5 gallons of Bondo right there. It's all caved in. The other side looks good, so we'll just go off of that. It's gonna weld it up. Just have to pull it over a little bit and tack it, and it should be good. All right, I got it tacked in there. It's looking good. No gaps or anything. If you wanted a little bit of a closer look at these mounts, that's what they look like. They just have a cup welded on the top there to hold the bushings. Nice and simple. These bushings are actually from an early 2000s 4Runner that we pulled out at the junkyard. Just lifted it up, and these are the front body mounts. Just lifted it up and slid those out. It should work for what we're doing. The height's right. As you saw back there, the gap looked good. Now I'm gonna finish welding that one up right there. Get that one on, weld it up, and see what it looks like. All right, so last night I made these mounts up here, and the bed was still on it. You probably saw it in the last video. But I made these mounts here. These mounts were from the original frame. They were just in the wrong spot, so I had to trim them up and move them around a bit. Got them tacked in there, and then took the bed off, welded them up. Looking good. My welds are getting better. In the first video, I said that I was gonna have to trim the tail right there about 2 inches. It fits inside the bed end piece, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but it fits, so I'm not gonna trim it. Coming over to this side, you can still see I have them tacked up, not welded yet. Now they're in line, and the bed looked good when it was on there. I made sure to look through the holes here and made sure they all lined up. Still room for adjustment. Gonna finish welding it up, get the bed back on it, get the wiring harness back on it for the tail lights. Put a double flare on the end of this with the nut on there so it'll thread in, because that's the brake line. And gonna get the bed back on it, and you'll see how it looks. I couldn't be any happier about how this turned out right here. I didn't think it would get that close and still be in line. You know, same gap on the bottom as on the top, but it's looking good. It turned out nice. Now, if you want to check out this little piece of redneckery right here, the original bump stop ripped off, so I just got the original bump stop plate down there and then welded a 94 Tacoma lower A-arm bump stop on there, just on the corners. It's gonna need to be replaced eventually, but it'll probably work for a couple of years. Anyway, it's probably gonna last longer than the original one on this side. It's starting to crack around the base a little bit. So when that one rips off, I'll just replace them both. I relocated these brake line hoses right here. They used to come in like that right there, but because of the lift, they weren't long enough anymore, and they would stretch out and probably break the mounts or rip the hose. So I turned them up like that right there. Now it has plenty of clearance and slack when it's flexed all the way out or turned, so it's all good. I just bent this brake line out so it'll come into that mount properly. The charcoal canister is back in there because the gas tube vents a whole bunch of gas. It's not like a normal car. So it just comes in here, vacuum line going into the intake for all the extra fumes. And then it's got a hole in the lower part of the tank that just has a tube that goes down into the frame for when it's not running, just to keep all the gases away from the starter when that thing clicks off. You don't want there to be a big cloud or else it'll go boom. So enough of me rambling. Got to get this front end put back together, and then it should be pretty close to being finished. All right, jumping over to the front shock setup here. As you can see, I got a Bilstein. I wasn't planning on having one of those in there. I was planning on using the rear shocks, but those were 1.5 inches too short travel-wise, so that wasn't gonna work. The front shocks for this truck originally, they only have about 5 inches of travel, which wouldn't be enough. So we got that full-length Bilstein in there. It's mocked up where it's supposed to be. The right amount of shaft is showing down there for it to travel. And I made these mounts right here. I will basically go on to the shock hoop right here, except it'll be in there. Hang on a second, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. It'll basically be in there like that. So the mounts will be on the back side facing the shock. It's probably gonna be a pain to get the bolt in and out, but hopefully don't have to change it that often. But this panel right here, it sticks out really far. So we're gonna have to do a little crescent wrench action, get that knocked back in a little bit so it'll fit around the shock hoop. But those esteemed viewers of mine may have noticed this is chromoly. Come look at this over here. We just discovered a few days ago that this plate I've been cutting all the mounts out of for the body mounts and the bed mounts, and also the super slick idler adjuster right there, that's chromoly. Didn't know that. But anyway, I'm gonna be using a torch over here to cut the holes in these now. I drilled that out with a drill bit. That took probably 15 minutes and it was an absolute pain. Drilling these little holes are fine right here with the drill bit. But anyway, I'm gonna use a plasma torch right there. Don't have a plasma cutter yet. Hopefully gonna get one of those soon. It's gonna make this stuff a lot easier. But anyway, I'm gonna cut out the next two and then show you how this is all gonna fit up in there, maybe tack it together. Let's see how it turns out. All right, I got the other tabs plasma cut out. I just plasma cut the hole in the middle here and then cut them out with the angle grinder. Smoothed them all out with the flap disc. So this is basically where it's gonna be going. Now with these trucks this year, this part right here sticks way out. We already moved it back, so it was gonna get in the way of this tube here. So we'd have to space it out pretty far, and then it would try ripping out the side of that frame rails right there. So we cut that, cut some material out of there, pushed it in and bent it up, tacked it all back in place and then welded it up. It's good and strong again, and it's out of the way, which is the most important part. Back over here, 2 of the spot welds broke out right there, so I drilled them out and re-welded them along with this guy right here. But the power steering line, pressure line, just showed up today, so we got that one on there. It's a little bit long and weird, but it'll work. So this is what we were originally gonna use. It must have been like a universal type power steering line. So we just cut it down and we're gonna TIG weld the end back on there, except for some reason the TIG welder just wouldn't weld this stuff. I don't know if there's copper in this or what was going on, but as you can see, if it'll focus right there on that side, right side of my thumbnail, that was one of the holes that just wouldn't go and fill up. I don't know what was wrong with it, but anyway, got the right one for it. It was more expensive. That one was $24, I think, and won't work anymore. And this one was $44 and is the right one. I always go with the right one. Right here, I got my KCB battery holder right here for Keeks Custom Builds, American flag on it. I made that myself. I was just basically practicing welding because I would do one little tack and then another one and then another one. Basically did that until I had all that made up right there. As you can see, there's some boogers in it. Those didn't come out. But the last mount that I had on there was just a rubber bungee cord that went from right there over to the emissions control area. So now that that's gone and all the emissions junk is gone, this is what I came up with. It mounts in there real solid to the custom battery carrier I made. It's real solid in there. Now, it might look like it would touch the hood with those terminals there, but I measured it when I made that battery box. Everything clears. It has at least 2 inches of clearance over both the terminals, so it's all good. Haven't had any issues with it. Anyway, gonna get back to finishing up this shock hoop here, and I'll pick you back up when we get it tacked in there. Now I got the shock hoops welded in there. They aren't my best welds, but they'll hold it in there. Everything still fits. These tabs are far enough apart. It still is the right height from here for clearance on the shock, so it has enough shaft showing. It doesn't bottom out or anything. Now this is what it looks like on the outside. This is for the other side. I just got these little, I think they're 1.5 inch. No, they're 1 inch. They're 1 inch tube. And I notched them out. Those notches take forever, especially when you got to get them angled out on the bottom and they're not flat. But they're close in there. They don't have very many gaps, and they're just small gaps. I'm not a professional, but they turned out pretty good. Now I'm gonna get that side welded in on the other side and pick you back up then. Also, before you put this shock hoop in there to weld it in, make sure to weld the back side because you can't get to it once it's in there. You can see right there, you can't even get the welding gun in there on either side. Plus, you wouldn't even be able to see in there to weld nicely. So just make sure you get that done in there, and it'll be a whole lot easier. You are gonna need to grind those ends off right here on these tubes that you just welded in, because the welds will move it around a little bit. So you just need to grind it back, make sure it's at the right measurements and everything's still good. So it'll fit in there nicely. Other than that, that's all you gotta do. And it'll be ready to go back. Well, both sides are welded in now, and I got it all painted up. As you can see, I went a little bit crazy again and painted the whole inner fender, but it's in there now. It's looking much better. Coming over to the other side. It's pretty dark over here. Probably can't see it that well, but I made these brake lines here for these front calipers, loop around the back side into these soft line holders. I don't know what they're called. Basically, it just holds it in there and connects it there. It's looking pretty good on the inside. Doesn't take up much space. As you can see, it just barely pokes in there. Think it looks good. I'm gonna get the shocks and stuff in there and hook up the brakes again, get all the brake system bled, the slave cylinder for the clutch bled, and the power steering system. I'll pick you up when we start doing that stuff. All right, it's a new day. The bed's back on it. The mounts have been painted up in there. They're looking good. Can't really see the back one, but this gap right here, that gap is looking even better. Look at that. Same as the door. It's straight all the way across. Looks the same on the other side. I made the mounts so that they can adjust back, so that the bed can move back if it starts to rub on the cab or anything weird like that. I don't know how much that's gonna move, but I just got some inner tubes, popped old inner tube, and cut it in piece out, folded it in half, put a hole in the middle of it, and just sandwiched it between the mount and the bed right there. It'll work for now. The original ones were just like a little thick piece of rubber, but I think that'll work. Coming over here. Oh. Sorry guys about this. It's a little bit of a tight clearance in here. We got a bunch of side-by-sides. I wanted to show you this. So this right here is another piece of inner tube. I just folded it in half, wrapped it in there a couple times and siliconed it. Some good silicone. And it doesn't rattle anymore. If you have one of these trucks, you know that is one of the biggest rattles, even louder than the back windows. They like rattling around, but that silicone is so good that I've had this hood release cable mount on there, just held on with that silicone. It doesn't move or anything. It hasn't broken off yet. I also got it as one of these radiator mounts because it ripped off. The original stuff just broke, so I put it on both sides of there. Anyway, it's good stuff. I couldn't have turned out happier. Now everything's back in there. The shock's in there and fitting nicely. The brake lines are in there, nice solid mounted. As you can see, as I was telling you, it goes around the cross or the back brace over there. On this side, it's mounted in there nice and solid. Everything's looking good. And this guy over here is working on some ungrammification of the old Warrior 350 electric here. These nice shots.
Making a race car out of it.
Yep, making a race car out of the Warrior 350. If you want to see a video about that, you're gonna have to watch out for it. It'll be coming out. We're all sick right now, so everybody's coughing and wheezing, got snot. Anyway, get this thing all blood off. So we got another issue here. This is the original sway bar for my 81 pickup, and this end right here bumps into the new power steering box end right here where it would mount up. So we're not gonna be able to use that one anymore. Plus it would get in the way of the tie rod and the linkage. So I got the sway bar from the 94 two-wheel drive Tacoma here. It's IFS. So what the issue is with this one is these ends right here, they would need a mount basically right where the shock mount is. And since we're not able to do that, because I want shocks clearly, you know, the whole entire bouncing around thing, we're gonna have to figure out something with maybe the torsion bars I got from the 94 with custom ends on it to mount up somewhere. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to figure that out. It's probably not gonna be in this video. It's probably gonna be a in-depth build, trying to make sure everything clears and it mounts up under there properly. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. It would work, except these ends are just about 1 inch too far that way, too far out on both sides. Anyway, get the brakes all bled off on this and then start it up. Bleed off that power steering system. Put the fenders back on it and the front end together, and it should be finished up. So I found another problem here. The front bumper mounting points don't exist on this. And if you remember from the first video, this front bar here is at an angle sort of like this and is set back about 1.5 inches further than that. So we're gonna have to be making some custom mounts. See right here, I already cut that part out. I had to notch this out a little bit. And right here, I already made the mounting point for this top bar right here. It basically goes on right there, like that. So now I have to cut down this one and modify this bracket here. This one was all smashed and bent from where they crashed it. That end was cracked, so I welded that up, ground it all out, straightened this part out pretty good. It was kinked a whole lot worse than that. It's coming along slowly. Gonna finish cutting that stuff up and then I'll pick you back up. I was working here on the bumper mounts, as you just saw, and I had topped this power steering off. We haven't even started it yet. Just filled it up. And it's already leaking. Don't you think that's a little excessive for Toyota leaks and stuff? I haven't even started it up. It hasn't spun or anything. And it's already leaking out of the seal down here. What do you have to say about it?
That's that Toyota life, son. That's Toyota life.
Yeah, well, whatever. It'll last forever. It keeps everything covered in oil so it doesn't rust, right?
What's that?
It keeps it all covered in oil so it doesn't rust.
That way it doesn't rust.
Yeah, except they actually rust out, so that doesn't work either. Well, there's gonna be a power steering pump rebuild video too coming out. Back to working on the bumper. You guys ready to hear one ratty 4-banger? Give her the beans, Ricky. That's some beans. All right, I got the bumper back on there. Made these custom tabs coming off of the original mounting points in there. This side was really crushed and destroyed, the intersection there and also the bumper. So I straightened that all out. Just basically stuck that tube in there, or the tube in the vise. You can see it right up there where it's all crushed in and that stuff. I stuck it in the vise, smashed around it, got it back basically round. That straightened it out a lot. A little bit of, camera's not focusing. A little bit of crescent wrench action, and it's straightened out pretty good. It's bolted on there real good. I got these emblems here painted up, the same on the other side. I don't know what I'm gonna do about these unpainted sections right there and the grooves of those letters. I wasn't able to cut the tape thin enough, I guess, to just fit it over these letters and paint the inside. But anyway, it's same on the other side. Got it painted up. I'm gonna be calling this episode as a cut here. And I'm sorry for not finishing the build in this video like I said I would in the last video, but it should be finished sometime. I'm not gonna keep making any promises, but it's getting close. The hood's on the ground back there, drying. I've re-glued all the seams and stuff. It was starting to break apart. So anyway, I'll hopefully be finishing this in the next video, but no promises there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to Keeg's Custom Builds. Keeg out.